Afternoon, everyone. Is the mic on? Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the HARB December 4th, 2024 meeting. Thank you for coming and joining us in our efforts to preserve our city's architectural resources. Membership on this board includes registered architect Joe Phillips, Nick Nikolov, architect, real estate brokers Diana Hodgson and Joseph McGavin, residents and business owners within the Historic District, Robin Young, Connie Postupak, and Bethlehem's Chief Building Official, Mike Simonson. Applicants for a certificate of appropriateness will be reviewed in the order in which they were received. Mr. Phillips will describe the proposed changes as well as significant features of the building and describe the standards that apply to each project. Approved changes to district structures are based on Bethlehem's historic ordinance and the Secretary of Interior standards. Applicants will present their proposal and then the board members will ask questions or hold discussion with the applicant. Project presentations are limited to 45 minutes and 5 minutes for comments from each visitor. A motion is made and additional discussion may ensue before the vote is taken. The motion may approve the submission as made, approve with modifications, or deny with clear reasons why the proposal does not meet the qualifications. It may also be tabled with a list of clarifications and needed to allow the board to make the COA recommendation. The recommendation of this board is then submitted to City Council for issuance or denial of the COA. An appeal to City Council may be made by an owner who disagrees with a decision that is made by HARB. Recommendations made today will be acted upon by City Council at their next meeting, typically on the first and third Tuesdays. No work can begin until approval is received. If there's anyone in attendance wishing to comment on today's presentations, please make sure that you sign in at the table there. Board members, do we have any conflicts with today's applications? Are there any questions or comments regarding the minutes from the last month's meeting? Changes? Nothing? No. Motion to approve, please.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Okay. 25 East Wall Street.
A representative? Nope. The applicant owner of the property located at 25 East Wall Street
You can come sit down here.
proposes to replace the existing garage roof shingles at the rear of the property with GAF slate line shingles in the antique slate color. New cream colored aluminum drip edge will be installed at the perimeter of the roof. New aluminum chimney flashing is proposed to be installed to replace the existing chimney flashing. TimberTech's ridge shingles will be installed over the Cobra Snow Country ridge vent. It's a one-story garage with smooth brick walls, topped with a cross-gabled roof fronting Milton Street. Roof water is collected in half-round gutters and conveyed to the ground in round downspouts. The Milton Street facade is dominated by two pair of carriage-style garage doors with 3 solid panels at their base and a 6-light window at the top. The side and rear facades contain 2/2 light double-hung windows with brick sills. You're up. And you are?
Sage Rosenberry, down on Coonsman Roofing,
Mm-hmm.
representing Sarah Microsoft.
Anything you want to add?
No, I think
It's pretty
a
straightforward.
pretty
Yeah.
straightforward re-roofing project. Trying to maintain like this around this Bethel.
The gutters, are they staying? They're being taken off and put back on, and existing gutters and everything?
Existing gutters are staying. All hangers, tanks, all that is remaining.
Okay.
We're just doing a simple re-roof.
Okay, and in the picture it shows a chimney on the garage too.
Yep.
Is that you have aluminum flashing on that? can that be changed to copper? Usually we require copper in the historic district for the flashing. Okay.
You can do that.
Any other questions, comments?
Sage, will there be any other painting done besides touching up?
No. This is being just a removing project on our behalf.
Okay.
So anything that Sarah would like to do further on would go for you guys.
Make a motion.
Sure.
Make a motion to approve a certificate of appropriateness for 25 East Wall Street as it's been submitted. Taking note that if any painting would be done, it would be done in the same color. And the only change that we're asking is a copper flashing to be used around the chimney.
I'll second.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
You good?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
60 East Church Street, please. Oh, there's a whole party here.
I know these characters. All right.
He filled us in.
The applicant owner of the property located at 60 East Church Street proposes to construct a new one-story addition on the east side of the home toward the rear of the property. The new addition will contain a family room with a brick fireplace and chimney on the east end of the new construction. A new terrace will also be constructed on the north side of the addition. Proposed materials include the following. You want me to go through all those? Okay. Siding, 1x6 horizontal nickel gap siding is manufactured by True Exterior Siding and Trim in accessible beige color. Trims, composite trim and traditional style pilasters in accessible beige color. Gutters and downspouts. Had a question on whether you are installing gutters and downspouts. I didn't see. And round downspouts.
They have like the fluted.
Right, the ribbed or whatever you want to call it. Yes, so half round and round. What's the material of those? Did you say? Sorry.
They were like they're bronze in color, but I think they are a red.
Oh, so they're either pre-finished or painted. They'll match the same color.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Is there any foundation wall that actually shows, and if so, what's the finish of that?
It's minimal, and it would just be cluttered.
Okay. All right. Fireplace brick is Glengarry thin brick in the 53 DD color range. I think you can see that on the rendering. The color range, was that intended to match the house, or I mean, okay, so you have it. Okay, nice.
Very close.
Like real sample.
That's essentially the color of the bedroom as well.
Okay.
And the
Great. The brick joints in mortar, color,
they're to match the
profile.
existing. They are. It's like a lightish gray, not white.
Right.
Like
So the color will match the existing. Sorry. Color match, and then how are they? What's the profile or the tooling of them? Do you know? Is it just concave?
It's
It's not like a vine joint or anything like that. in any case, it will match the existing. Okay, casement windows, Marvin Signature Collection Ultimate Casement Windows, extruded aluminum exterior cladding, simulated divided light, and the color is Sherwin-Williams Accessible Beige. And just wanted to confirm the Mutton design. Does that get close to or match the profiles and the thicknesses and stuff of the existing house?
Shape of the putty mold.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So we're not getting wide or anything. We're matching what's there. Okay. Double hung windows, Marvin Signature Collection Ultimate Double Hung G2 windows, extruded aluminum exterior cladding, simulated divided light, Sherwin-Williams Accessible Beige. Same thing with the Mutton design. Anything is match existing. We can come back to these. Let me just go through and get the questions I have about, you want to talk about actual material and so on. French doors, Marvin Signature Collection Ultimate In-Swing French doors, extruded aluminum exterior cladding, simulated divided light, Sherwin-Williams Accessible Beige. I assume that there's the Mutton design again is match existing. The roof, Drexel Metals hand crimped standing seam metal roof in classic bronze color to match gutters on existing home. And it's just out of curiosity, is that steel? Is that an aluminum roof? Is it aluminum? Okay. So aluminum, pre-finished to match the gutters. Anybody need to see that?
Yeah, I can. Terrible.
Okay. Shutters on existing house. Timber Lane panel shutters constructed of wood. 2 panel shutters detailed to match the existing shutters that were removed over time, and they'll be hung on existing pins. The color will be pitch black. So I guess the one question I had is to confirm the location. Like, are all the windows going to get shutters?
No, it would be the original front portion of the house on the front and the side.
But both stories?
Actually, all 3, even the other has a.
So front, street side, 2 sides,
Just at
The
the
shutters.
original gable portion of the house.
so street, 2 sides, attic. Okay. And I guess I had a question. You mentioned panel shutters, but are the second floor shutters actually going to be louvered, or do you have any pictures that show the second floor were paneled, or were they actually louvered?
They were.
They were louvered. So what are you proposing then
Currently, we're proposing
on both floors? Everything's consistent.
correct. Yeah.
They may have more comments about this, but I'm just trying to get my. And then terrace materials. You mentioned a terrace, a new terrace. I guess it's on the east side between the new wing and the back of the existing house, right? What materials were you proposing for that?
Existing, dry lake.
I'm writing on these.
Right.
On back.
So reuse existing dry laid brick.
I'm sorry, what did you just say, Joe?
They're going to reuse existing dry laid bricks. So the terrace will be a brick
I see.
terrace.
Thank you.
And that was kind of all the questions for the project. It's a 2-story, 5-bay smooth brick facade residence topped with a cross-gabled roof. Roof is supported by a heavy bracket-supported cornice. Roof water is collected in half-round, I said copper, but you said they're really a bronze.
Yeah.
All right. bronze gutters and conveyed to the ground in round segmented bronze downspouts. The facade is punctuated with 6/6 light double hung windows with heavy sills and heads. The wide entrance door is surrounded by side lights on each side and a transom window above. The recessed entrance is highlighted by pilasters on either side and a bracket supported hood above. There's a low brick garden wall which extends from the front facade to the east or left of the property when your back is towards Church Street, and it's distinguished with brick piers on either side of an ornamented metal gate, and the piers are at the end of the wall. There's a pier at the end of the wall as well. So this addition sits back, and to the left, there's a low brick wall, an ornamental metal gate, and then down the east side of the property line, there are some plantings. This is an addition, so I included the things that we normally look for in additions: scale, building form and massing, setback, site coverage, orientation, architectural elements, alignment, rhythm, spacing, facade proportions, trim and detail, materials. That's all in your packet. And I'll stop there.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
You
well,
got it
there's a
all.
lot.
There
I mean,
is a
it's
lot.
it's a nice project. There's
Yes,
a
it
lot to
is.
review on it. Do you guys want to add anything, or do you want to just take questions?
Sure, happy to put an envelope on the conversation.
Mhm.
The calculus is needed to create a little more space. The house is currently made up of three buildings: an original building, which is the brick building, and then what appears to be it's quite possible that it had a detached cooking facility, and at some point they were then attached. The third addition was maybe the linking addition. So we have some brick, and we have some bricks, and then we have some wood infill, and then it appears that that wood infill may have been one story that became 2 stories.
Mhm.
It presents now as a partial sleeping porch, so it presents as a sleeping porch that had been filled in halfway. Our proposal is to unify that and fill the sleeping porch in the same as the other half has already been filled in. So it's to basically complete what has already been started at the time, and not add anything new to the basement building. There is it the north wall? Open the next bathroom. East wall is completely blank. So that living room space has only windows facing the front of the street. We can look at other properties. It does not seem to be inconsistent with the architecture of the time to have flanking windows on each side of the fireplace. So we requested those to be the same windows, same scale, same proportion, same height as the windows on Church Street. To bring more light into that space. The addition, one could use the word conservatory type, sunroom type, is in the classic sense of putting a glassier addition to a more solid masonry structure. It is 1 story. It is primarily glass and French doors. It is fireplace axial at the end. The fireplace brick is meant to complement, if not match, the brick of the house. And our addition would be hard pressed to even be seen from the street, given that it's behind the main house, behind the wall, and heavily planted. That said, it's completely appropriate and well placed to be a greenhouse or conservatory in the garden on the garden space. It's a 1-story structure, and the building is. It really takes the shoes off of our windows and more than types. Not really an attempt to add any new thoughts. The thoughts are consistent. There, I'll be a new height.
All right.
So quick question, are you planning on any shutters on the new addition or it's not shown, but you,
So the addition is almost all glass. There really is no wall space.
okay, and the second floor,
The second floor, there are no shutters on that side currently.
except for the brick part? No, that's
Yeah,
the
but on
third
the
floor.
wood part, on the infill of the sleeping porch, there aren't, so to be consistent with what's there.
On the timber lane, I know they make a number of different, is this wood, the wood timber lane?
I'll let you answer. Oh, by the way, Ralph Fay, George Wahlberg, our client.
It's not, it's listed as poly ash.
Well, I got off of there, timber lane panel shutters constructed of wood, but
Yeah, I actually,
Yeah, I think they were wood
the
as
siding
well.
was poly ash, but I.
Yeah. I believe it is.
Okay.
But you should really find out.
Yeah.
I have a question for the addition, and you have the fireplace. What's the height on the top of the fireplace? Obviously, it looks like it's lower than the existing infill roof.
So it meets the requirements of being 3 feet above, 10 feet away?
2 feet above, 2 feet above, 10 feet away, and 3 feet above.
Right. I was just curious. I couldn't find a measurement in there. I found like about something that showed it about at 16 feet or so, but I was just curious. I'll just for the building permit portion, I'll need that spec'd out in the.
Okay.
That's kind of what I'm getting at.
Yeah, we're trying to keep that as minimal.
So on your south elevation, you show partial, the poly ash horizontal siding
Yes.
next door to the brick, right? It's kind of divided. What's your,
So the infill.
just wonder what
So our
the,
columns are poly ash. Poly ash is being a substitute for wood with a better longevity. For all intent and purpose, looks like wood. Our columns and our base, we are proposing. And
So-
also the infill of the sleeping porch on the second. And our cornice moldings.
okay, so this section right here, that part,
So that's the infill of the sleeping porch.
okay. So your intent is to make it look intentionally different from the existing brick?
Well, I'm going to point to A2.1 at the top. You see that that is a wood addition that nestles up against.
What page are you on there?
Oh, they don't have that.
I don't think we have
You don't
that.
have that?
No,
So
this
this is similar to
like
like
a
a
trick
trick.
difference that where it has a
Sorry about
for
that.
the chimney. Sorry.
Poly ash is just
Yeah,
multiple
it's kind of the elevation.
pieces. Okay.
Yeah, they're in
It's a
here.
composite
They're
manufactured
sheet
wood.
9 and 10, I think.
So the poly ash is an inorganic material.
14.
Evidently, I am not familiar.
Sheet 14?
It's not,
14, sorry.
Yeah. Sheet 14.
So the second floor
So these are
above,
the columns to the porch now. They're gonna
one
infill
half
it.
of it is currently filled in with horizontal upward siding and 2 windows. And we will be filling in the left side of
Yeah,
it.
this
to
side is
match
already
the right
infilled.
side, and it does turn the corner.
There's photos of the house as it currently is on page 3. Yeah, that'll explain it.
So
Oh, I
the
see.
open, one half of the sleeping porch is open. It will be infilled, similar to what's already infilled.
Okay,
It's on page 3.
Mhm.
yeah, so
That piece is infilled already. They're doing the same there.
same thing there,
And coming around there.
wrapping it. And that's why I was just,
Yeah, it would
It's
be
just a-
inappropriate for us to infill the brick into the wood frame.
I'm going to take you back to the shutters. You said that you were going to put the panel shutters on all windows. On page 6, your second floor has louvered shutters. So are you intending on taking the louvered shutters off, or are you going to leave them on? And
That's
then,
an old photo.
Right.
okay,
They're not there. They were there and they were louvered. but they're not.
so that there are no shutters on that side of the house? So then they are going to all have paneled shutters then?
With your approval.
Right. Well, you're proposing to put,
That's our.
yeah, yeah, okay. Now I understand.
Yeah, actually, if I may.
Yeah.
So on page 5 is the house as it currently is without any shutters.
Got it.
So it's basically this gable portion,
Mhm.
facing Church Street. We would do all the windows on the front
Mhm.
and all the windows on both sides of this mass.
Just of the main front portion of the house.
Yeah, which was centered in the original part of the house.
Right. So then the remainder of the brick part of the house will not have shutters on it, correct?
Which is a newer addition.
So have we had anybody else use a composite siding on a house, on construction? Does it meet the standards to use composite?
Well,
Pardon me?
the applicant from last month used composite siding on a structure, on an addition to the rear of the structure, correct?
On the rear.
On the rear, it's on the rear of the house.
But I believe that was a special exception, was it not?
Well, it was made clear that that was a particular case because it backed up to a highway with
Right.
trees between the highway and,
To refresh my memory, I don't remember, what did they use, was that aluminum that they used on that, or vinyl?
Vinyl.
yeah, I think.
But it was a composite.
No.
Hey, do we have the password here? I don't know.
Just for clarification, we would never propose one. We would propose a material that is essentially like wood, acts like wood, doesn't rock like wood. And if we could get the same old rosewood that they got the first time they built the house. My 1860s windows are still made of, we'd probably use that, but we can't.
You don't have a sample of that material, do you, Andy?
Composite. It's like hardy plank, right?
What's that?
It's like hardy plank.
I don't know. Yeah.
It is not hardy plank in any sense. Hardy plank is a stranded cementitious board that is visibly, you can see the strands in the cement and you can break it. Polyash is made from 70% fly ash. It's a byproduct of the concrete industry. And it is in essence monolithic, no strands. So when you sand it, it sands off into fine dust.
It's cement fiber.
It is cement fiber instead of stranded fiber, and it doesn't move, expand, contract, or
Doesn't do anything.
moisture.
Will be
But it
painted.
does cut and have a tooth like wood and takes a very clear, sharp edge, which none of those other products that we've all been talking about can.
Does it come manufactured applied color or does it have to be painted?
You've used it before then on historic homes?
It is, you were to Google it now, it has been approved in Washington DC on the government buildings. It has a broad approval in historic districts.
It's a smooth finish, right? Not
It is
a,
smooth.
not a wood
There are
grain
no
finish.
textures. It is not. We will be taking lumber sizes and crowding them. Distinguish.
Can we go back to the louvered shutters on the second floor?
Actually, I have the shutter information. so it would
Okay.
be- They
Yeah,
would be they call it as a screen.
And the louvered part?
They're not proposing louvered.
I know they aren't. That's why I keep asking.
I'm going to stay, I think our point is here and introduce our point in this conversation. I have a strong preference that they not be louvered.
Yes.
I had a feeling you did.
Well, I think for consistency, and I moved here, I grew up here, I left 30 years ago, came back, 18 years ago, from in love with historic Bethlehem. So want to keep this project obviously in the keeping of the historic. I think with consistency and just the look of the house, the two panel throughout, I think just joins everything. I take, like everyone else, walks, and I've seen houses that have done the same. And it looks stunning to me. Having said all that, also with the louver, I feel that it, lack of a better word, falls apart easier, and it tends to start looking more weathered. I know these are very well made, but I've had experience with them, and I think it's a strong, solid, historic structure building. I think that just bodes well, especially from the front. It just makes a really nice statement.
Do you know the photograph that's on page 6? Is that your house at the top, or is that the neighbor's house?
That's a neighbor's
Across the
house,
street,
I
isn't
think. It says neighbor across.
That is, the one at the top is across the
All
street.
right, can you direct me to, oh, there we go, picture of the existing.
That's the center, yeah, her front door is in the center.
So on page 4, are those photographs of the existing house?
Black and whites.
Yeah.
That's the subject property.
Okay. So I think what the board is getting at is originally, and it is very traditionally and commonly, the first floor shutters would have been paneled, but the second floor shutters would have been louvered. So
Right, right.
it's your house, do what you
These
like.
photos are passed down, and I'm creating and finding more, they're kind of, hidden in the basement type photos. So these photos are from, I believe, 1949, when the family moved from Germany to here, into a huge project. They were removed, and I haven't seen shutters on in my research. And that's why there's no stains on each side. So the house has been sitting, I believe, shutterless for quite a while. So again, to me, the statement would be, it would almost be seamless, because it's, I think, going back that I could find on the real estate and where it's owners, it hasn't been shutters.
No, not disputing that, just establishing that
Yeah,
the original
it's
were
great.
paneled and
Right.
louvered, so.
Right.
I think though historically, it's, and I'm speaking from the guidelines that we followed, that it's shuttered on the second floor.
Shuttered.
Sorry, louvered.
Louvered.
Yeah, sorry.
Um,
You okay with that?
Give me a second.
Well, I'm trying to
It's just that
marry the idea to
I-
existing.
I understand.
Neighborhood. So,
Well, sometimes the neighborhood prior to, sitting in front of us and prior boards, they might have allowed, but we're trying to keep it.
no, I understand.
We recently did that exact thing across the street.
Right.
The house that's being painted currently across the street on Church, the corner church, is paneled on the bottom floor and then louvered on the second and third floor. At our,
The dog colored house.
yes, right here at the corner where.
No, not,
Out is
no,
Where
it's
the restaurant is.
Where
the-
the
the restaurant on the first floor with the,
Okay,
corner of new,
okay.
right there, yeah. Yeah, I think they painted them on brownish color on top.
Any further questions?
So was,
You good?
was
Are
there,
you, are you okay with, well, we're going to make a motion then. Okay.
Now you know I'm wrong.
All heads are going the same direction. That's good.
Just one question, comment. I
Uh-huh.
guess since I'm not familiar with and I've never seen the polyash, do we want to see a sample of that before we approve it?
I think it's a good idea, Mike.
Yeah,
I
I'd
think
like
it's a
to,
good idea.
I'd like to see it.
I saw it in your in your specifications and stuff, and the color, the accessible beige and stuff. I just it's a new materials, and usually the new materials we like to at least get in our hands.
Correct.
We can drop off.
Right.
You could drop it off with
You can
Mike.
drop it off at my office.
We have many.
Okay, yeah. The color doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Just as long as we have a sample. So we
Well,
can,
are they getting it pre-painted or you're painting it? It comes through natural. Yeah, you have to paint it all, right? Okay.
Just like.
Right.
It'll have
But-
our finish, it'll have our paint. I'm happy to drop off the sample. For you to see.
And the thing we're discussing is that it is a new product. We're always encouraging people to bring new products with them, but we need to be sure that it's going to be appropriate to the neighborhood and what anyone in the future would be using.
Nick, you're awfully quiet.
No, if it's anything like a fiber board, which is, it's hearing a whisper, it's better. I'm quite comfortable with that material, but yeah, it's within the common practice that we have to just check it out and not approve kind of blindly.
Are you going to be using any PVC trims with this? Just the trim.
anything that would be wood, siding, trim,
Just polyash.
everything is
So everything that
fine.
you're mentioning.
Yep,
like
yep.
PVC,
Okay, that's what I thought.
Cellular product. It's not an continuously dense monolithic product. I sit on 2 hardboards myself. I am extremely sensitive to the products and how they age and how they contain.
Well, that doesn't
Never
mean
recommend
that doesn't
PVC,
rot,
and I
yeah.
never recommend any type of cement board. I only recommend something that has to do what this does.
The only reason I asked is that when I went online to look at it, it talks about using the polyash with PVC trim in the website that came up. So I was just curious if that's what you were doing.
We are not.
Okay.
Can you run us through the windows then, please? Just to refresh what Joe mentioned.
And while he's getting that, the reason they probably did that is Polyash was purchased by a larger company. Now they are marketing it with another product. Grouping the products is probably what. We used to call it Boral. Pardon? We used to call it Boral, Boral. Once it was purchased, we had to stop calling it Kleenex, Boral, and now call it Poly. But it's been around for about 15 or 16 years. I have a sample in my office. It's in a jar of water for 14 years now.
All right, so what did you want to?
I'm familiar with it, so.
You wanted to go through windows? Yeah.
Please, just refresh my memory on what kind of windows you're putting in there that you're discussing.
Oh, yeah, we're doing Marvin, double hung, and the 2 openings on the existing gable portion of the house that we're also proposing the shutter.
Simulated divider.
With the, yes, simulated divided light, so it looks like a 2 window. And it would have the standard color profile on the outside, so it matches the existing window. And then the new portion, the addition, will have casements of the same series.
And the doors, the same thing, the French doors.
Transoms fixed.
So the clad thing,
They're
Joe,
fixed, are they operable?
that's where.
They're operable.
Hmm?
The transit.
Yeah.
Well, you know, something that's been questioned heavily.
Yeah,
That's why I brought it up.
we approved that one.
We have.
Yeah, but it's not gonna be these, right? Like, we have the lights here.
Mhm.
We will have the grill
Yes.
at the bottom.
Yeah. Yeah, that's for the elevator.
The attic on the gable side, the attic, are they 2/2 or are they 3/? I'm just trying to, they shouldn't be.
The little ones?
Yeah, the little ones. Would they match the ones on the other side? Oh, you're just adding, you're just adding. Got it. Got it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
First
Two
floor.
of them that are replacement, those two.
So there's not existing windows on that first floor and that's what I thought you had said earlier. Yep, okay.
Okay, let me have that, just 1 second.
I'm fine.
Okay, just so we can say this out loud. HARB discourages the clad on the front part of the house. But since this is on the back, we're just going to make that, when they make the motion, we'll make sure that that's stated, that that's why we're okay with it.
And just for everyone else's knowledge, you know, under windows, it has HARB encourages and HARB discourages. It's in your packet, but the way it's written in the Bethlehem Historic District guidelines is installing vinyl or aluminum clad replacement windows at window openings that are visible from a public right of way. So there's 2 windows going to be replaced. They're at the rear of the property. Is that correct?
No, they're on.
They're on the side.
It's all new, they're not replaced.
Okay, so they're all new. So they're not replacement windows. And, you know, we discussed the visibility of this. So as long as you're comfortable with that.
All good? Everybody?
I'm good. I think that's a
right.
handsome little project. I think.
Mhm.
Great addition.
How about a motion?
So do we want to make a motion to approve the project pending the approval of the product?
Well, you
or-
can put that in your motion.
Okay, I just wanted to see if we wanted it, or if we wanted to table it pending the product approval.
Can we do an administrative approval by Mike?
That's what I was just going to ask. Who's going to do the approval?
Well, I would do it, not just me, but I mean, I would do it with Joe and Connie's, you know, as we usually do with the chair, the historic officer. I'll get the product and,
Yeah, let's do it that
So-
way.
so
Put it
it's
in
a
the
quick
motion
one.
for sure.
okay.
Are you going to run with that motion, Mike?
Yeah,
For
I'm
Nick?
just writing
Okay.
a couple notes down.
I'll second that motion.
So if I may, 1 second.
Do you want me to capture all these
Mhm.
things you went down, Joe? Okay. So
Please.
I'll capture, well,
Well,
okay.
yeah, do it.
I'll just go down the list. So the project to be approved with the following conditions: administrative approval on the poly ash siding and trim work. Gutters and downspouts will be half round, and for the gutters and round for the downspouts to match the existing in color. Foundation wall will be parged where seen. Mortar color and pointing profile to match the existing color and profile. Went over the windows, went over the window design and dimensions. windows and casement windows, double hung windows, and French doors windows to be approved as submitted. The roof is a standing seam, aluminum window, factory finish in a classic bronze. I didn't catch, was that to match the gutters?
You're stuck on windows, but I know what you meant.
Oh, I'm
The
sorry.
roof, the roof is not a window.
Oh, sorry. Roof, I apologize. Standing seam roof with aluminum, made of aluminum, factory finished to
Yeah.
classic bronze. The shutters to be the proposed 2 panels for the first floor and the louvered panel for the second and above. And the terrace is going to be reusing of existing brick. It'll be a dry terrace. And the thin brick is the, I didn't catch the
Fireplace facade.
That's the double D.
We have the number in
You have
the,
the number?
it's in there already.
The Gary thin brick and 53 double D for the fireplace.
Nice job, Mike.
All right, motion made by Mike, seconded by Nick, was it?
Mhm.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Connie,
Aye.
Diana,
Yes, aye.
Rod,
Aye.
Joe.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you
for
very
bringing
much.
samples. Of course, the one that
I know. Go figure.
Murphy's Law, right?
Here's my card to drop the sample off.
Okay,
I'm right on the first floor, so.
okay.
Okay.
I'll do that.
All right.
Do that this week, so.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, 459 Main Street is next.
Nice project, huh?
That's very nice. By the way, I have Timber Lane shutters on my house on Wall Street. If you guys want to go check them out.
Hi, how are you? Great, thanks.
They're pricey, but the quality is not. Yeah, they look great when they're new. 3 years later is different.
Oh,
Always.
Fine.
I walked by, it looks adorable.
Cool.
Let me just get organized for a second.
Yep.
I can't even. Are you at Liberty CLB guest? Do you know it? Yes. You're at Liberty?
All right. The owner applicant of the property located at 459 Main Street proposes to install a 36-inch round double-sided carved sign with the text "Sunny Moon" on an existing scroll bracket. The sign will be hung from the existing scroll bracket by way of eye hooks. The bottom of the sign will be 8 feet above grade. The background color of the sign will be logo blue, and the text and border color of the sign will be gold metallic. Again, the sign will be at street level, but it's a 4-story building distinguished by its smooth cut stone facade. It's kind of the Romanesque building there, with small smooth brick panels on either end of the deep inset window openings. There's a wide end ornamented stone arch that frames the inset paneled wood doors, and they're elevated 3 steps above the sidewalk. The existing scroll bracket for the proposed new sign is located just to the right of this dominant entrance element, and the first floor facade is capped with a simple stone sill or cornice, and then the upper 3 floors are characterized by a smooth brick facade with deep inset window groupings and wide ornamental stone cornice. So the application is limited to the sign on an existing metal scroll bracket.
I have a question. The 2 posts that are holding this sign, are they existing? The vertical posts? They're in addition to this? Okay. Okay.
And will they rock with the wind?
Honestly, I have a concern about the 36-inch diameter. It seems large.
Well, I'm just.
Mhm.
You're not altering the bracket that's already there
Mhm.
from the last sign, from the last tent.
Mhm. But these two vertical items are new additions.
I believe they're new. I'm sorry that I don't, I can confirm that they're new. But I do see them on his rendering of what he's doing.
Yeah, there's
They
no,
do not appear. to
there's no
be-
vertical
Yeah.
rods there.
Yeah. Usually we see chain.
Yeah.
Right. I just feel that it kind of obscures, looking down the street, but almost like, even though it's 8 feet off the ground, that it just feels heavier than some of the other signs, and the diameter makes it feel,
What would you want it to be?
I don't know, probably take a look at it at 30.
Do you know how big the closest sign is? The Gundy House sign is? What's that size like? About the same, about 3 feet wide, you think, or?
Probably about the same. And like I said, the rendering, those rods are attached to
Hoop.
hooks that were already there.
Yeah, the hoops are there. So like, yeah. But
But the sign extends beyond those hooks.
I understand.
yeah. Was that the Bethlehem house sign there? What was there?
Yeah, it
before?
was, the
The
artist,
The
art
the
gallery.
Bethlehem house.
And obviously the verbiage is your logo.
What was blue, gold?
Anybody else concerned about the size? or-
I so, I mean, it does appear a little large, but I mean, I'm wondering how to connect this to the existing. You want how much of it is part of the logo of the business? How much? I mean, we cannot interfere with that, but if there was latitude, we would like the sign to be kind of complementary to the style and the overall proportioning and sizing and scaling and the materiality of the building that it goes to. And that usually translates either in, trying to kind of like pick up on some architectural features or try.
The front doors have beautiful double floor, and there's a half room window
Mhm.
arch over the door.
Yeah.
The round sign, I feel would complement that window.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is, I would like to hear about this, whether that is a kind of like a interpretation of the context or whether that's simply like a logo, a business logo. And the blue is stands out a little bit, right? So
It's a little brighter than navy, but it's not anything.
no, I'm not talking about offensive or anything. I'm just saying, like, I mean, it's not it doesn't, I mean, does it, in your interpretation, would it stand out in a way that is in contrast to, like, I mean, honestly, if it's something like bright orange or like alarm red or do you feel like the what kind of blue it is, and do you have a sample of the blue or something like that?
I don't know that we get a sample, but I mean, I do have, which I believe you do too, the color code.
There's
Now, is that more representative of the blue then?
there is an image.
Because ours is really quite,
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yours is more
Um,
purpley.
Well, I printed this from your.
What is Sunny Moon?
That's probably more accurate, what you have. That's roughly.
but it is your logo color.
It is a logo color.
It is the logo color, so it's not like it's going to be,
And there's a
Change.
border. And that's going to be painted.
It's, the gold is, yes, it's painted, that's like art etched in, and then gold in the etching, the logo, the perimeter of the sign, and the name of the sign.
So the gold does go around the edge.
There's a very thin,
Instruct.
What about the side, the edge itself, the
Thickness.
what is it, polypropylene? What is the material like? Is it acrylic? What is the side? Is that
I believe it's blue, but like I said, I don't know. I wish I could give you the
I just, one members mentioned to me, one of the crowd members, the Gundy sign is 34 inches across.
I'm sorry?
The Gundy sign is 34 inches
across? Yeah.
across.
Okay, thank you.
You can see it in
so
one
this
of
will
the
be-
images that was
Yes.
submitted to the
Mhm.
left.
And it will be 1 inch thick? Like what is it, high density poly,
Yeah,
Urethane?
It's going to be 2 inches. 2
HDO?
inches.
Oh, urethane?
Yeah, 2 1-inch.
Is there going to be a border?
Oh, there are 2 layers.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
Okay, so I know you're the manager.
What is it?
Okay.
Yeah.
So if the Gundy sign is, what did you say, Mike?
34.
34.
If the Gundy sign's 34, we're knocking off possibly 2 inches on a circle, which is kind of huge, visually. Do you have to go back to the owner?
Well, I mean, I believe that is what you're proposing, and that we should use to get approval.
Okay. Any other questions there?
Is there any border around the edge?
Yeah, you can kind of see it.
No, I see the gold one around the
On the
edge of the
face.
sign. I'm talking about because there's 2 1-inch pieces together, that 2-inch border going around. Is that painted or is that?
I wish I knew the answer.
We'll just stipulate that it has to be painted.
It's going to have to be. I don't know what
Yeah.
color do we want to paint it though. Do we want to paint it that gold or do we want to paint it
Blue.
blue?
Probably the blue.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's,
I was going to say gold.
What do you,
You would say gold?
what is
I
your
would say gold.
interpretation of flat stock sandwich between 2 1-inch thick?
High
What is
density.
flat stock? Is that like the rods are sandwiched in between, or what is the?
Not sure.
Flat stock, that's the metal, probably the hanging rods. They're flat.
So the whole thing's
Metal
actually
stock.
more than 2 inches thick then.
Well,
Something in between.
Well, they'll have to notch
They'll route
them
it
somehow.
around.
I think that if that's rods, that you're probably better off with the chain because the sign is going to want to move with that wind that comes up that street, which is pretty bold sometimes.
I would worry about it spinning,
Yeah.
rotating
Yeah, right.
if it were on a chain,
On
on
a
a chain. Yeah.
Oh, I don't
mean,
think it's going to
it
spin.
can move at the top where it's attached to the
Right.
scroll bracket. The
Mhm.
rod and the sign can be rigid, and as
Mhm.
long as it
Mhm.
moves at the scroll bracket, it can
Right.
swing.
It can swing then.
Right.
Mine does the same thing. It swings.
Hmm.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the sign with the following adjustments. Reduce the size from the 36 down to 34. Use chain to attach it to the existing scroll. I mean, in my opinion, painting the outside edge in the gold would be prettier from the side view and more visual. Okay, and I mean, your logo is your logo, and you have the trim around the edge, the detail. I think that's it.
I second it.
And just, could we add just sign to be a minimum of 8 feet above grade?
Well, it's going to be short, it's going to be higher now
Yeah, I
because
don't know
it's
if they're
2
gonna
inches.
Hang it lower with the chain though now. I just want to make sure that.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying.
The sign bottom, minimum 8 feet.
Yep.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Motion by Connie, seconded by Diana. Rod?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Okay. And Nick?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good luck. All righty.
For the guest one? Yes.
555 Main Street.
You can ask if there's anyone that wants to speak about this. Before the vote.
Okay. Since there are people left in the audience, we're assuming that you're here to speak about this project. Is that the case? No? No
Yes.
heads?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. We're going to hear it first, and then we'll let you speak before we go into motion. Is that okay? All right. So the two people who are here, do you have something that you want to?
They're with
Oh, okay.
The Allentown HARB.
Oh, hi.
Okay. The applicant, owner of the property located at 555 Main Street, proposes to construct additional stories for multifamily residential use above the existing building. 2 additional stories, approximately 20 feet in height, will be added and set back from the existing 2-story facade that fronts Main Street by way of a 6-foot deep balcony. 3 additional stories, approximately 31 feet 4 inches, will be added to the rear of the building that fronts Rubel Street, and the proposed materials include the following. Brick, the primary brick field and surround is Belden face brick, 481 to 483 velour in color. The decorative panel brick is Belden face brick 8531 velour color. We need to confirm the mortar and the joints. Is there a color that you're going for and a profile? Okay. I mean, you're not proposing anything strange. Is it a sand color mortar?
Matching.
All right. Windows, Pella Lifestyle aluminum clad windows, brick red in color. That's in the addition. In existing openings, they stipulate new double hung windows, but there was no manufacturer, make, whatever, that I could see on that. And are they aluminum clad as well?
That would be ideal from the owner's standpoint.
Okay, well, we can get into that. Yep. Coping cap is painted to match the brick red window color. And I'm assuming that's an aluminum cap or no? What? Yeah, at the top of the addition. Okay. All right, so that's the Main Street facade. The Rubel Street facade, the new brick at the street level is Belden face brick 481 to 483 velour color. They're gonna paint. There's a partial facade, I think you're gonna repaint, and then there's part that's new brick paint. Do you have a color for that?
We don't have.
Same thing for the brick and mortar joints. They're just a tool. It doesn't matter if you're going to paint over them what the color of the mortar is, but yeah. Struck, sand. Okay. Same thing with the double hung windows again. Manufacturer, are they the same Pella windows that we talked about? Okay. And what about color on? We're talking about the Rubel Street facade. Okay. Brick red. Okay, siding, composite 6-inch horizontal lap siding in tundra gray color. And is that smooth or textured?
I'd say.
Okay.
You don't have any samples with you, not to interrupt you.
Okay. All right. Same thing on the copings. It's the brick red color aluminum. Okay, so the building's existing 2-story Main Street facade is distinguished by its street-level storefront facade consisting of storefront glass, painted tile facade, and oversized letters spelling 555 Woolworth Building, with the abbreviation. Storefront is topped by a second-floor brick facade of varying brick patterns and stylized brick keystones over the 1/1 light double-hung windows. The existing 2-story Rubel Street facade is comprised of a yellow and red flat brick facades with little distinguishing characteristic. The facade faces a parking structure on the other side of Rubel Street, which is a relatively utilitarian service street, being Rubel Street, to the back of the building. And it services the back of buildings that front on Main Street. And on the rear side, and well below the mentioned parking structure, lies the Colonial Industrial Quarter. The applicant did come in and met with staff, Connie and I. So wanted to point that out. We have had some discussion about this, and that was brought up at the meeting, the fact that there is the presence of the Colonial Quarter, which sits down, and there's a parking garage between it, but just want to bring that to everyone's attention. I'm good. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'll talk a little bit about the project. I'd like to hear the board's feedback. As Joe pointed out, it's an additional 3 stories of residential. The existing building has a 2-story volume along Main Street, and then steps down to 1-story existing as after about 30 feet of 2-story structure. So while we're saying it's additional 3 stories, 2 additional stories present to Main Street only. And the first new story that's visible from Main Street is partially obscured by the parapet on the Woolworth building. Okay, we're setting the new volume back 6 feet from the street facade in order to differentiate the new facade from the existing building and really preserve the appearance of the Woolworth building with the new building being over top of it, but less differentiated on the side. The scale, we feel, of the ultimate building is consistent with adjacent structures along Main Street. So some of our drawings indicate that the height of the proposed addition is in keeping with the height of Main Street Commons, so we're not exceeding the height of Main Street Commons. And the property that I believe is 2 doors to the south of the Woolworth building is also in that similar range. So we're trying to be respectful of the scale
We intentionally kept the building massing very simple in order to differentiate it from the Main Street Commons, as well as the kind of shapely and ornate forward parapet. So I think that provides some more differentiation between what's existing and historic and what is new on this property. The orientation of the addition is toward Main Street, obviously. That's the primary street for this project. The architectural elements are consistent with the adjacent buildings. We're proposing a cornice, regular window openings, and brick detailing that provides some visual interest, and also somewhat relates to some of the textural ornamentation on the street. The rhythm and spacing of the windows is very regular, which is similar to that of the Woolworth building. We are using the pattern of windows again to somewhat differentiate the new from the old. So I believe the Woolworth facade has 9 or 10 very small, they're actually very big double hung windows, but smaller relative to what we're proposing on the facade. And I believe but still in a regular. Again, trim and details will be similar to context, and materials that we're proposing are consistent with those found along Main Street.
So just so everyone's clear, and just to point out, the rhythm and the size of the new windows on the floors that are seen from Main Street are consistent with the existing windows in that facade, but you can see they're actually made up of a grouping of 3 windows. So it's a different window grouping, and that was stated to distinguish them from the existing building.
Try to replicate the exact pattern on the Woolworth building. There could be some confusion. What was the original?
What's the height of the building? I see the Main Street Commons in your.
The windows aren't fitting in with any of the other
It's about
windows that
47 feet as well.
are in any of the buildings.
Wait a minute, he's asking a question.
Pardon me?
Mike is talking.
Oh, I'm
Dan.
sorry, I couldn't
That's
hear.
okay. The Main Street Commons is about similar in height, very close, 47 in your building. Close. But what's the building to the left? I see a 551 Main, but there's a building to the left of that. It looks like, is that taller than
It is.
Main Street Commons?
I don't believe it's much taller. But
Okay.
It's very similar.
I think just
Joe, did you have a question?
I just am wondering why you wouldn't make the windows on the addition. I mean, they look contemporary,
Yeah, so.
and that doesn't fit in the historic district to put contemporary windows in the historic district.
So we are basing that on Secretary of Interior standards. Mandate that the newer structure should differentiate itself from the historic context. And that's why we're proposing a more contemporary grouping of windows versus your traditional double hung.
Do these open?
Yes. The residential units.
Is that for new construction or an addition?
I'm sorry.
It's an addition.
I know, but I'm saying is the secretary's guidelines, because I'm not familiar with all of them, is that for a new construction or an addition?
It's for an addition.
However, just I think the change of the brick color and other things would make the whole new addition look new, represent themselves as new. I'm just looking at all of the windows on Main Street all the way down. You've got windows that are offset and not flush with the facade of the building.
You know, again, I think we took the approach of the grouping to further differentiate the new from the old.
Understood.
If the HARB's feedback is that we prefer to see a pair of double hung windows, I think that's achievable, but that's something we need your direction.
Style window that you sort of going to the left to the south. The small brick building. That's exactly what we were trying to tie this into the complement. Yet not duplicate what's on Main Street Common. When we look at the shower repetitive arch windows in this building, you see too much. Differentiating up.
But the Woolworth building itself was built, what, probably in the 40s or the 50s, 30s. So it's, you know, it's very utilitarian in itself. I understand that. I'm just visually, it stands out as it's supposed to by the standards, but I don't know if it's a complimentary standout or not.
Then, and when I read the number 9, the new work shall be differentiated from the old and will be compatible with historic materials, features, size, scale, and proportion, and massing to protect the integrity of the historic property and its environment. So, I mean, I know that you want to have it be different, but I don't think that it's compatible. I don't think that the contemporary style window is compatible with anything else in the historic district.
I think that's subjective. I would respect your opinion. That's subjective.
You think it's compatible?
Could be, yes. I think that there's enough variety in windows along Main Street that these windows don't stand out to me as incompatible.
So what's a little detail underneath the windows?
So that between the windows, we have some textured brick detail. So that would be either soldier courses or some regress bricks to give some additional texture to the facade. And again, that relates back to some of the brick detail on the comments. There's some terracotta tile work above some of the entrances and have a varied texture.
Okay, and so your new addition, the color tone looks much lighter, much more like the Commons than it does the Woolworth building. Is that intentional?
It is. I think that the rendered image that we have here, the brick in the Woolworth building is appearing a little more orange than it is in reality. So I'll say that. But,
Do you think it's more like this one then?
yeah, that even feels a little orange.
A little too orange?
Yeah.
Mhm.
It can be difficult to represent, photograph or rendering.
Understood.
We bring in samples of bricks.
Yeah.
And from looking at the floor plans, it doesn't look like the staircase or the elevator or the elevator shaft or anything like that lines up with those front windows at all. So there wouldn't be any, odd lighting, I guess. Like one light's going to stay on all the time. One window's going to look like the lights are on all the time.
And the south-facing wall of the addition, and it's pretty solid, no windows at all. That's an intentional.
So that's looking right against the property line. There's code issues county windows there, yes, you know, if that structure to the south was ever renovated.
Got it.
That is, it was all on fire.
Okay, understood.
Block this, so
Okay,
planning on not having
yep, got it.
it. Nice situation.
Yeah, exactly.
I do have a question about the terraces on the second level. Are they, is that a terrace that hangs out like a balcony, or does that come out on the roof itself of the Woolworth building?
Correct. It would be on, over the roof of the existing Woolworth building. So the parapet wall
Yes.
along Main Street would act as the railing.
And where are the utilities in all of this?
So those are all internal to the residential units.
Okay.
AC units, these small condensers mounted on the roof, they would be far enough back that no one would ever see them.
From the street?
Correct. And they're very small, they're like suitcase size.
And where are all the 27 units going to be parking?
So I think by zoning, we don't need parking spaces. But there is parking in the deck directly behind the unit.
You don't need parking, Mike?
It's a CB. That's more of a zoning question. I don't deal with zoning
Oh,
directly.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. But I mean, all this would be subject to zoning approval.
Yeah, and it's,
Yeah, we did do a zoning review.
yeah, I'm sure. I was just really out of curiosity. I'm thinking to myself, where are we going to put cars?
So again, the aluminum clad question is there. Am I right? Even though it's pellet, is it different from the Marvin? So,
So I mean, if you look at the standards, and I don't have that necessarily in front of me, but location of the window does make a difference, whether it's on the street level, whether it's on the second floor, and the higher you get up the building, there's different opinions on what the windows can be. The one thing that I will bring to your attention, and not to have an opinion either way, but again, when you see drawings in 2 dimensions, it looks like it's right in your face. When you're a person that's 6 foot tall on the street, if you're on the building side, you might not even notice this addition, but you will see it from across the street, and you will see it from the buildings across the street. So just trying to lay it all out there. You know, they're not going to look like this 2-dimensional flat elevation. They will be diminished, and they will be set back, but you are going to see them, especially from across the street, and the buildings across the street, the upper floors, and so on.
What's the total height above the parapet, the proposed height? Like, so I know it's set back 6 feet. Is it about 12 feet, 13 feet?
15,
I'd say 50 or 60.
15, okay.
15, 2 inches.
Sorry, what was the question?
Quick math.
What was the question?
The proposed height of the building exposed above the parapet.
So 15, 2 minus 4, 3. So whatever that is.
11, 9.
What is it? 11?
About 12 feet.
Okay.
Are you measuring to the center of the parapet, where it's the tallest?
Just the top of the parapet.
Top being centered.
So where it's, I'm
Oh, because it's not flat.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I got you.
So,
So it's-
from here
Yeah, I got you.
to the lowest.
Yeah, I just took it at 4 feet 3 inches.
Oh, it's somewhere between 11 and 12 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why are you asking? What's your thinking?
I'm
Like,
ju-
how
I'm-
much will it be visible?
Yeah, how
or-
much will be exposed? But it's still going to be a line of sight thing
Well-
from across. You know what I mean? But I'm just curious for my own knowledge.
I mean, I mean, the thing with renderings, I mean, they're very beautiful. Actually, they're very informative. But also, if you know, it's hard to quantify distances off of
Right.
a perspectival rendering. So, like for instance, like there are two doors on that balcony that will break the rhythm of the window, the new windows. But they're not showing, so maybe they're, because they're directly behind the elevated, the taller
Yeah,
part of the
they're
parapet.
mostly behind the higher part,
Yeah,
but they do peek out.
So why does that matter? Maybe it doesn't. It's just it's just in establishing a rhythm and establishing a pattern on the facade. Um, the print renderings only present the third floor, when in reality, I think it will be a little bit more of an organic experience, one that you can see the window heads and the two door heads working in the vertical patterns of the textured brick, right? Like, so that will work. I personally would like a stronger pattern. And I think it may be already embedded there, but like the textured brick, or the different pattern of laying the brick underneath the windows, or between the second or the third floor window head and the fourth floor window sills. I like this, especially when struck by the sun at the right time. The shadow will be deeper and this pattern will be more pronounced. So it will create a stronger separation. I probably wouldn't like to match the smoothness of the Woolworth facade with a similarly smooth but different colored brick. I don't think that will be prudent. I would like to see more differentiation, and that shadow will be a good thing to do. If anything, I would say that a plain facade like that, or a repetitive facade like that, can take more texture even without it breaking the concept. So that's why I was thinking, like it does look like an add-on, while it should work somehow in concert. I have no recommendation or anything. I just would like to say, like, as is, perhaps it's good, but if it's even more textured, even deeper facade would be even better, in my opinion. Um, just looking at the buildings next to it, there's great deal of architectural detailing and shadow and depth to those facades. So that tiering, that stepping back and forth, and is good. I'm not necessarily a fan of maintaining a steady rhythm that's already present on the 30s Woolworth facade. Like, I would like to say that, if anything, that is one of the less um, the less interesting parts of Main Street. So, like, it's important to kind of, like, if it's not necessary, if we're not truthful to the original concept of the Woolworth building, which I would also question, I would like to position the character of Main Street section, that section of the street, above the character of the building itself. Meaning, it should jive in a wider lens, not just here. My perhaps biggest kind of like, I'm still warming up to the red. I don't know why red. There's no red anywhere. It's like, how much red is this? How red is red? Like, what are we talking about? Fire station or orange red, or
It's, I think the intent there is to match the sash color on Main Street Commons and Woolworth.
They are.
Red currently.
We did those.
So the windows in the existing second floor are red.
Yes.
And what is the material of those windows? So they're wood windows painted red. Okay.
oh, so it's.
So are you matching the
It's like
faded
a
color of the
thing,
red?
or- I mean, but don't you guys think that that's like, it's a lot of linear feet of red windows? Don't we want to?
What would you suggest?
What color?
What would you suggest?
Oh, I suck with colors.
takes
I'm
me
just
back.
saying, like, I was just saying that we're talking about 1, 2, 3, four large frontage buildings with the same sash. Like, while they're unique, maybe we should be differentiating different forms, different houses, different programs, perhaps different color. I mean, look, color is such a thing. It's like you guys are in the think tank, with the owners. You must have a reasoning. From a point of view of architectural character.
What if we come back to, we'll be back in front of you again. We took a shot at the emergency store, that's a blue, gray, deep blue,
That's a brand blue.
Mhm.
That's like the university
we could
blue.
do this red dish, and we're not, the red isn't a must-have.
Look, I don't want to hold the cart back here. If this is not a no-go for me. I'm just saying, like, if you were to be, you probably are better equipped to make these decisions, whether you're tying in like a brand or a presence, or like, you may have other considerations that are not, but like, I feel like you don't have to match the Commons red.
No, and
Like-
we don't have brand consideration.
Yeah, so if you would consider different, I'm just proposing it as an option as far as my point of view is concerned.
I think to that, we'd like to hear more feedback on cladding versus non-clad for the upper stories of the structure. Because if we are able to go with a clad window, we'll be limited in terms of our color palette. Obviously, if we're going with a wood window, at the HARB's discretion, we do something.
Well, just my take on this, it feels more Art Deco to me.
What,
with
the addition or the?
the addition with the windows and the detail underneath. It's just more severe. And I mean, I think there's another way to differentiate the windows a little bit.
In terms
And
of the combination of the window units themselves.
yeah, like the architecture that you have in those windows, and I'm not going to make any suggestions, because you guys are the architects.
You don't like the look of the windows either, Connie?
Correct. I'm not a fan either of the detail that's marrying the second floor to the third floor.
Nick likes that.
No, I know Nick likes that.
I mean, I think that I don't mind the red or matching the Commons, but the look of the windows to me is just totally.
I think it looks like a skull. Yeah, it feels more like schoolhouse windows to me. And I don't know, I think the color tone too could speak a little bit better to the existing building. I mean,
The color tone of the overall.
The brick?
yeah, that beautiful detail on top of the existing building might help this new one talk to one another a little bit better. Not overdone, but just a touch of it.
Well, could there be perhaps a middle ground? Like, I'm squinting my eyes and I'm thinking on the new proposed configuration, the top left and the transom, the operable panel and the transom, they're about the same size and in proportion as the lower windows, the original current windows. So in many ways, if the transom were gone, so it's not a 3-piece but 2 with a side light, fixed light, would that? Now I'm drawing on everyone's power of imagination here, but would that be a closer? Are we seeking like a proximity, like something that's closer to what's there, Or are we looking for something that is a few degrees removed?
Double hung, or are we okay with casing? Right.
Yeah.
That really, I think, is what I think we're driving at.
Yeah. I personally, like, a casement is fine. It's just to me, the partitioning of the whole window, the rough opening into three, perhaps could be just two vertical. So it's
And differentiate somewhere else.
yeah, differentiate. But Connie, to counter in a kind of arm wrestle a little bit, but the change of the from what is it, like a running bond to a stacked bond under the windows or between the windows is not sudden. There's a border, like if you can see, there is actually a bunch of like straight headers, stacked headers all around spanning windows, right? If those, that is like a, there's a frame that frames the window, right? That's what I meant by saying, like, if that were to be celebrated more, like it could be, right? Not that it should, but it could be. Then it's become less decorative and more a thing of rhythm defining and more.
And I think if I heard you right before too, even push that back to pick up the depth of.
Yeah. So like, what I don't, my personal opinion would be that the facade or the brick pattern and surface do not match the brick pattern and surface on the right
The
above
existing.
the sign, the Woolworth sign.
Yeah.
So to create a further distinction, I was just expressing an interest, not a hesitation, an interest that could be actually embraced and more texture be given. I'm just looking at the buildings next to this building. I mean, the windows are set back. There's a great deal of shadows being cast by archways and keystones and even columns. So I would like certain texture or depth to the facade brought, kind of extended. But again, I'm interested in that kind of artistic exploration. I'm not concerned with historical appropriateness.
If everyone has something before we give any opinion.
I agree. Okay, everybody good with their questions?
For now.
All right. Anyone who wants to speak to this, you can come up here, go to the podium.
Which
The mic
podium
is-
should they go to?
That podium should work. This podium should work. Even the microphones over here should work. Wherever they feel comfortable.
Go ahead.
Dana Grubb, Bethlehem.
Excuse me, can you repeat your name? Sorry.
Dana, D-A-N-A, Grubb, G-R-U-B-B.
Okay.
Although I understand, although I believe that the major developers in Bethlehem, this one has shown the most interest in designing projects that fit the context of the architectural history in the city. The Woolworth building proposal, in my mind, raises some issues. And believe me, on social media, it's raised a lot of issues. The building is very important to the streetscape on Main Street. So I'm wondering, when you apply the Secretary of the Interior standards, are you applying them district-wide? Or should you be applying them also to the context of the building itself in terms of height, mass, and scale? And we've witnessed over the past 5 or 6 years regular violations of the Secretary of the Interior standards in the South Side Conservation District. And because of that, I'm concerned that by taking a step like this on Main Street, are we opening a door to other compromises to the Main Street streetscape and the history that it represents? You know, it's interesting that the things that give Bethlehem its individuality, ambiance, history, identity, seem to be under attack in Bethlehem citywide. And I think these are the things that actually attract people to Bethlehem and make it a wonderful place to be, to live, to play, to work. So I'm really concerned at the scope of what's being proposed at this location, its effect or impact on the building as an individual building, but also somewhat with the historic district itself. And as I read through the ordinance, you know, you'd have to look at the proposed change and its impact on the general historic and architectural nature of the district, the appropriateness of the architectural features which you've been discussing that can be seen from a public street or right away, and then the general design and arrangement of the building itself, but also in the context of its impact on the overall district. So while all of the concerns on social media aren't necessarily architectural and historic in nature, and are issues that are more relevant to zoning and housing and that type of thing, I'm just wondering how much leeway you can have to take a building that already contributes to a historic district and modify it so drastically and still meet the Secretary of the Interior standards. Thank you.
Thank you for giving us an opportunity to comment. Good evening. My name is Marcia Fritz. I live at 818 West Market Street. I want to join with Dana with his concerns and criticisms of this project. I kind of chuckle because when I was in architecture school, I was severely criticized for creating a myth that by setting the facade of an additional building back a bit, you somehow made it invisible. And I think that's the basic idea that's going on here. And that's reinforced by a couple of diagrams that you were presented with. One, a figure of a woman standing in the sidewalk in front of this building and somehow not being able to see the additions above the existing building. That's disingenuous at best. Also, another illustration shows the Broad Street Bridge and somehow thinks that it's not a public way. Well, it is. And this building, the addition in the back, will be very, very visible. I like to think of myself as a contextual architect. I know that buildings change, and I've changed a lot of them in historic areas myself. But the context of Main Street is the thing that ties all of disparate buildings together into a whole. It draws on the classical ideas of base, shaft, and capital. I drove down Main Street today to make sure that I was on the right track. And virtually all of those buildings are composed of those three parts. And that's a large reason for the coherence of this and other historic areas. This proposal turns its back entirely on that very basic organizational principles of architecture that has served us well, literally for centuries. It has no relationship that I can determine to the Woolworth building itself. It has a base, that's the Woolworth building. But the shaft part doesn't relate to the Woolworth building, and there simply isn't a top. I urge you to reject this proposal as being inappropriate and incompatible with the Secretary of Interior standards. Further, I did a little research for my own amusement on the Woolworth Company and the Woolworth buildings. Turns out, if you look just a little bit, that the nature of those buildings, which were new in the 30s, they were in response to a new kind of merchandising called the five and dime. The building that exists there today was replicated with variations throughout the country. That building is important. It's almost 100 years old now, which is kind of a odd determination in my mind of what makes a building historic. But not only does it represent its time, the merchandising of its period, it's a contributing building to our irreplaceable historic district. Some of the things I've heard today, I encourage you to follow up on. I have no idea why the red is a good idea for our historic district, nor do I know why the very contemporary building, the windows that are being proposed, is complementary to the existing important building, which is, by the way, kind of a watered down version of Art Deco. And I respect it for that, for its characteristics. I would encourage you to insist that this project has a top, a shaft, and a base, so it fits in with the character of the historic district. Once again, thank you.
Anyone else?
Make a brief comment. I wasn't intending to speak. AJ Jordan, chair of the Allentown HARB. As an Allentonian, I'll keep my opinions to a minimum. But just listening to the commentary on the window casings, I heard, just kind of not understanding what was off about them. Looking at all of Main Street from the eyes of someone who studies this, I agree with the fact that there is some debate over modernity versus faux historicism in a historic district. So that's open for your all discussion. But one thing I see on Main Street is enormous diversity in windows, but I do not see diversity in asymmetry in those divided light patterns. And to me, that's the one thing that stands out here. I'm agnostic, and I'd leave it to your judgment on what ultimately gets put there. But that's what stood out to me as being off in these windows, is that the mullions are offset and irregular. If you look at all the other windows on Main Street, they come in all shapes and sizes, but they're all symmetrical in nature and contribute to that regular order. So that's the only comment I really want to make here. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? So what do you think?
I think that nobody here on this side of the table certainly wants to bastardize Main Street. We do want to do a project and build some residential units like the Woolworth building. We want to do it in a way that works with the HARB guidelines and Secretary of Interior standards. And we're here to get your feedback, and we certainly received a lot of that this evening. So we'll return to the drawing board and be back in a month to further discuss the project with some revisions.
Mhm. Well, that's certainly good news. The one thing that the board didn't discuss was the massing. And I don't know if where this stands. We've gone through a massing thing.
I also will say that, nobody's saying that setting the top two floors back from the facade of the building is intended to make the addition invisible, because that's simply not the intent. It's to differentiate what's new versus the old. So I think the entire diagram that's in the packet is to show how much of the facade is visible from across the street and not to portray it as invisible.
Just curious, could this project be done with one less floor?
The economics of it don't work.
Okay. I think at this point, we're just going to table this. Everybody on board with that? Yeah? Nick?
Look, I mean, so I'm trying to digest the public comments. And with Mr. Grubb, I have sided with him vicariously on a lot of and as we all have sided in kind of concert against the political forces at place in redevelopment. I just don't, and I'm in agreement, but I also I'm guided by set standards and set guidelines, which are meant as kind of interpretive frameworks. So where I hang up on is comments about style, because it's very difficult for us, or for anybody, any kind of study of history, to consider architectural style as a congruent theory, one that happens continuously, ends, and then something else begins, that ends, and then something else begins. Main Street is a perfect example in which different styles, different methods of construction, different formal languages overlay and mix. So it's very difficult to put together a recipe or some sort of a template in which we can analyze architecture through reduced sets of criteria, such as symmetry of openings or a tectonic elements such as a base, middle, and top, right? This is possible in a very guided or focused analysis of styles. And the Woolworth building is an Art Deco building.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to know more about how do we apply neoclassical methods of formal analysis across different styles. If that were easy, I think and anyone could be an architect, I would imagine. But I think that's hard. Hence, we go to school and we study, and we don't come to our best senses until we're too old. But I believe that if there is if we were guided by the interior standards, the secretary standards, and the guidelines, we will be talking about a general sense of a dialogue with the existing massing, proportionality, rhythm, materiality. And also, we would be trying to create a distinction. So, is that sufficient? We could talk about that. But then again, what is, you know, if we were to like, you know, send these guys home with advice, what are we saying? Like, is it not different enough, or is it too different? And specifically to the windows, you know, we can all agree that there could be different configuration, there could be different, right? But like I at this point, I would imagine that if we're looking for a cornice or for a pronounced rake, well, there are no rakes, there's no slope, right? Like if we're looking for a coping that matches the building itself, then it should be stone, right? If we're looking for coping or some kind of like top treatment that is congruent with the street, then we're looking for some sort of ornate three-step cornice. And I think that should be an architectural, in the purview of the architect, is I'm saying, because they have to consider way more than just like the appearance. Yeah, I would kind of repeat a little bit. Like I really like to celebrate newness and difference, and not fall into matching, a game of repeating what's there.
I have an off-the-wall suggestion. Joe, all the architects in the room, you might want to close your
Close your
ears. If you took the center point and bounced that section right there, the center point of the existing facade, bounce that back and made that a little bit more like a outside venue. So it's not all so much in your face that you enter those spaces. Then I know your interior floor plan is going to make a big difference. That'll make a big difference to that, but you wouldn't have everything all lined up. And these windows then would be more, you could adjust the size a bit, and then you'd have your courtyard kind of feel on the inside, which I think is a big selling thing for people up on the third and fourth floors anyway. And then possibly, you can pull some of that softness from the existing roof line or facade line, actually. I don't know if I'm using all the right words, and that's just an outside suggestion.
I don't think the building is wide enough to effectively get a center courtyard through that front section of the building. We could provide some
Relief.
differentiation at facade.
Mhm.
So are you suggesting, Connie, to remove the or this center part of the parapet?
No, not that building. Nothing, not touching that at all.
No.
No, not this one. Just to bounce it, take it back, maybe 4 or 5 feet even, if it could be done. Joe's already sketching.
Yeah, so we did look at that somewhat limited by the internal configuration. This is how you're getting 2 units consistently along the Main Street side.
Which I understand, but I think that what bothers me is, what bothers me is the fact that, well, the windows do bother me, but looking at it straight on and you only see part of the windows, it depends on where you're standing on the street, it's kind of creepy.
building in that, can I ask a tangential question? Some years ago, I came in front of the board with the suggestion to put flower boxes in the top level of Main Street Commons building.
Mhm.
They got turned down. Europe has these flower boxes at high level. There's a lot of drama. We had that ability in Main Street Commons since then, that building. Extend that same look across this top floor of this building.
Never do that.
Soften a lot of
No.
your back.
Mhm.
Never draw in
Take
front of
consideration
Yeah.
to put automated flower boxes across the top, both Main Street Commons and this one.
Mhm.
I don't know what your thinking is of that. I was very disappointed that that was arbitrarily shot down. That was here some years ago.
Yeah. I mean, my first comment is you said automated. That means that they water themselves?
Correct.
And then what happens in the winter?
It's not,
Right.
you know,
So we just have the boxes then.
it's down.
Okay.
I mean,
And it
obviously,
forms
it
like a
could be
cornice on
copper,
its
it could
own.
be attractive material and not really that. I've never done anything in Main Street, I think it's been less than quality product. Like, why didn't build it in Main Street Commons, they did Forest building, they did one in Broad, I did the Liberty building, did Jack Jones building. You know, the Union Station, I think any one of those, it should be hard to criticize what we did in those buildings.
Mhm. Yes, Joseph?
I can't help myself but draw, but it's you know, an idea, and it's way over dramatized, but just trying to get some depth.
Can I hire you a target?
No, that's not what I'm here
So
for.
what did you do, Joe? Did you just, did you soften it by?
No, this just takes
It adds-
Nick's comments, pushes those panels back. They can still be different textures, and
Right.
I'm over dramatizing it to show a point that it looks like they're set back further than they would be. It only needs to be inches. But it also creates, a cornice at the top that's 4 feet high or something. It's not just part of the run-on building. So, is that the right rhythm, or are these grouped in twos? I mean, I don't know.
But I think it
I'm not the
softens it,
designer.
and I think that's where my objection was, is that it's too stark compared to the rhythm of the other windows.
It may just be that the window openings are pushed back too. I mean, this has a rhythm of deep windows, but it doesn't necessarily have that vertical rhythm, and that's okay, because we're sitting here. Every building shouldn't look the same, or we wouldn't need architects and we'd all be out of work.
I mean, I'm just wondering if like what these guys are like doing is not actually, I mean, we can argue about the finishes and the textures, but actually what they're doing is not that different from what has been done to other buildings, when they have been added on, or even they're conceived in parts. Just looking at at these, I mean, there's definitely, setbacks, intrusions in different tiered systems. So there's like 3-4 levels. So in my opinion, yeah, I mean, if they come with a proposal, we can express wishes, and ask for things. But if it's okay, may I ask also another question? So like you spoke that, you've done your feasibility study, your occupancy, all the square footages and stuff like that, and you have been very good in kind of outlining from the Colonial Corridor, from down at down at the bottom of the hill. And I'm really kind of happy that it's not going to be a substantial qualitative change to the landscape, but the point also is that it is a larger volume, and from the bridge or from across the bridge, it will contribute to the skyline, to the roof scape, right? So yeah, it will be good to see this. And I mean, the elevations are this as shown, right? Like the backside, what is it? The west elevation. You've drawn it really, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. And it makes sense because miraculously your new windows are matching the existing windows, and it kind of creates the uniformity of the facade. But it just will be curious to see if this actually, matches this whole area is a little hodgepodgey with the current garage anyway. I mean, it's like it has no character to write home about.
We're talking about the
on the
Rubel
backside.
Street. Yeah.
Yeah. So like what my concern would be to, like, since that is, I mean, it will be in a public right of way, people will see it. And I just want to be contributing positively and not adding on another blank facade or,
Right.
things like that.
Okay, so you're willing to come back to us? Excellent. Any further comments? Everybody good?
Is there no 35 feet limit on Main Street? No? Sure.
50 feet?
50?
150.
Oh, that's why the garage went up there. Yeah, that's right. You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah.
Any thoughts on the color of the existing building? Because I'm not a color guy, but I don't like the color of the existing building.
The painted tile behind the sign, is that it?
Painted tile, brick,
Are you talking about the Woolworth building itself?
the current Woolworth building color.
Yeah, I don't like it either, but
Yeah.
It's iconic.
It's, yeah, I don't think that's going to fly.
Well, what was is that original color?
It's not painted, it's actually the color.
My side have been all there. They were painted at some point.
They were painted?
Yes, they're it was like a first
Are the storefront windows as designed, as planned, original?
Yeah, we did not plan on.
I know you're not touching it. I'm just wondering. Yeah, I know that. Just wondering if you had looked it up.
Fairly original.
Oh, these guys. Oh, yeah. They seem a little off. Yeah. Seem a little off there. And that door on the side there.
Are you sure you want to ask that question? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. All right.
Certainly
And-
very volume. So.
Okay. You're welcome. Thank you. Everybody good?
Yep.
All right. Motion to adjourn?
Or do we have to
Second
make
it.
a formal motion to table it?
Pardon me?
Do we have to make a formal motion to table it?
Oh, okay. Formal motion to table it then. Okay.
Who's making that motion?
I did.
So
Earlier.
Connie made a motion to table. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second.
Second. Diana,
Aye.
Rod,
Aye.
Mike.
Aye.
And Nick.
Aye.
Okay.
Next
Motion
month.
carries unanimously.
See you next month. Happy holidays.
See, that's not. Oh, that's white.
There's some questions on the process, so I think that can be off.
Yeah, we're gonna.
For anyone who's willing to stay.
Yeah. So I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second it.
So,
Mike, is it okay if I run?
Mike,
Yeah, that's okay. I think most of our
who was the second?
Diana.